Welcome back, kids, to another episode of Sick Crickets Talk Straight. My name is Katie Myers.
And I'm Leanne Jamison.
And we are the dynamic duo of...
We sure are.
We're moms, we're wives, we're sisters, we're podcasters, we're authors, we're speakers, we're therapists, we're just a couple of gal pals.
We are stars. I think about, have you seen Wish? Have you seen the movie Wish? Girl, you gotta see it. Oh, okay. So good.
Well, we're moonbeams and stardust.
That's what the whole song is Stardust. You're a star. And then it tells you to eat the mushrooms, and I love it. To know the truth. Anyways, I digress so badly today. Immediately.
Stay with us. The topic of today is not moonbeams and stardust, although it could be, because we believe in that stuff. But no, we're talking about other things that are also holistic in nature, but right, like our third eye, our intuition, our third eye chakra. How do we connect with that, and what are the stories that we have that relate to us either benefiting from it or I told Leanne I have as many stories of when I didn't follow my intuition, when I didn't follow my gut instinct, when I told my third eye to close it and shut it and move on, as I do stories where I was like, oh yeah, like I totally followed it and nobody understood it and it turned out fucking amazing.
Right. And that's what typically happens. I'm so excited to be talking about this gift. And yes, I do believe it's a gift. It's a gift of intuition. And I do believe that we're all endowed with it. We are. And some are more in tune than others. And we have been so conditioned to ignore it and to not trust it. I can go on and on about that. But the truth is, and it's so interesting that you bring up that, the times that you didn't listen to it, because I remember having a conversation with one of the women in my group, and she's like, no, but there are so many times that I listened to my intuition and it didn't work out, like it was really bad. I said, are you sure you listened to it, or did you hear it and ignore it? And like, just out of curiosity, like, because maybe it is, maybe you're right. Maybe you didn't, maybe it was telling you something different. I don't know. But, after she went, she reflected on it. She was like, actually, that's what it was. She's like, it was telling me something. I didn't trust it. I went the other way and it didn't work out for me. And, with this intuition. So for all of you who maybe newer to the third eye, holy cow, I got to open up my throat chakra.
Right? We're talking about our third eye chakra, open up the eye, open up the throat so that we can speak our truth about all the things, because I even had like some throat chakra stuff this morning, and I think some of it was related to pollen, because I live in the great state of Mother Georgia, and everything is covered in pollen, and so I blame it on that as well. But we've done episodes on chakras before. If you are interested in that, I can very quickly pull up what some of those episodes were. Episode 101, What the Chakra is Going On, originally on March 4th, 24. And there's some others too. That's the first one that popped up. And so yeah, I can jump right in and just start with like my depression and anxiety being a direct result of me not listening to my gut intuition, like my inner knowing. I said, not now, because like you said, you mentioned with your program client, we are so good at listening to our conditioned selves and fear. Yes. We are in tune with it. We are, as Abraham used to say, we are tapped in, turned on, and tuned in to all of it, because it's coming to us from every angle. Yes. And so we sometimes get confused. We don't always know which voice is which until we practice it. And I think it really requires a good amount of like mindfulness and meditation and just like quieting the mind so that you can get into your body and feel. But frankly, like you said, I think all of us have access to it. I just think that some of us are more gifted than others and some are closed off to it for different reasons.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it goes into so many different reasons that we can talk about, of just like, how does it close off? How do we start distrusting ourselves? And how do we find our way back to ourselves, and back to this? So I want to start off with just identifying what our intuition is, right? And being able to look at this, it's truly a profound aspect of ourselves, of our human consciousness, right? That is this powerful, and sometimes it can be subtle and sometimes it's not so subtle. And I think Brene Brown goes into that, right? Like, I can ignore it for so long until it grabs me by the shoulders and shakes me. But it's usually starts off as this like really subtle, just like feeling, or like, I don't know, you can even get like a gut punch where it's like, oh, wait, like something's off here. But it's really insights that arise without conscious reasoning, right? And that's where, like when you said, well, it doesn't make sense. And that's where we go off the rails a little bit, because it doesn't make sense. And everybody wants everything to make sense and be logical and be the next logical reasoning. But it's this inner guidance, right? That sometimes can't be explained. And it's this gift of this like inner wisdom and this insight, and just guidance from like ourselves, but so much more too, right? Where, yeah, it comes from something that we're just like, I don't know where this came from, but I'm going to go with it.
My classic example is what I've shared before about when I went to treatment, and left my very nicely paying corporate healthcare position. My husband looked at me and was like, have you lost your damn mind? And there was a part of me that was like,
it wasn't mine anyway.
Thank God, right? Because like it wasn't mine anyway, and it was all messed up.
Yeah.
So I just returned my current brain and got a new one. And the return policy, by the way, y'all, on our brains is like never ending. Like there's no 30-day money back.
We can do it at any time.
You can do it anytime. If you want to return the brain that you've got and download a new brain and a new way of thinking and living and being and breathing, and you can do that.
Yes.
But so, yeah, my depression and anxiety were at an all-time high, and I was at an all-time low. And I've been ignoring that tug of like, you can't do this anymore. You can't do this anymore. But that my identity was all wrapped up in it. And so when I finally did, it literally was like the floodgates opened. All these, like the money continued to flow. That was always a big deal for Jonathan and I, is like financial security. I'm the breadwinner. How do I not put my family at financial risk while still like following my dreams and still like honoring myself? But I'll tell you, it's so funny. I was making my transition, and if you were to go back, like one would think, and this happened in 2017 when I left corporate then too. There was 6 months where I did not get a steady paycheck.
Yeah.
And one would think that you could probably go back and look at our bank account and look at our statements and be able to identify, oh, this is when Katie stopped getting a paycheck. This is when Katie left her steady job. Our finances didn't change motherfucking bit. It didn't. You would not be able to go back and see, oh, that's where you would be able to see like the paycheck from Riverman Health.
The last paycheck of corporate.
But the amounts on our balance, we never dipped into like scary territory. We never, like, it just, and so like I lean on those experiences because fear is real, and I lived in fear for a long time, so I get it. Like I know what that feels like. I know what it looks like. I know that there's comfort in the familiarity of that, and I also know what it feels like to do it differently and the freedom that comes from that, and the just joy and ecstasy and living life that comes from it. And so, leaving corporate America and starting my own business, and then I got this kind of side gig working with attorneys, being a wellness consultant. things just started like falling in line, and everyone on the outside, like my family, I'm sure there were some friends. Most of my friends like got it though. Most of my friends like knew.
Well, it's because of the people that surround you. You know, you surround yourself with.
Yeah. My tribe got it, but like others were just like, "You're gonna do what? Like you're like, do you have a private practice already built up? No. Do you have clients already? One. Do you where's the logic in this? And where like what are you? And I was kind of like, I can't. And this is, I'm going to tap just slightly into human design, because I am a generator, and part of my my makeup with human design is that I have the gift of being able to feel things like on a visceral level. So when something happens, if I'm tuned in, I'm tuned into my body, I will feel when something comes into my purview, my world, my sphere. If the feeling isn't right, I am not to move forward. If the feeling is right, I will feel it differently. It'll feel like that kind of flutter of excitement, or kind of like the tug. I feel it more of like a tug. Or the opposite is like, I feel like a pain, like it's like a jab, like stabbing pain in my like lower abdomen. It's really wild, like what I've been able to like get in tune with over time. But yeah, but it all stems from, again, going back up to our third eye chakra, the center of our forehead, represented by the color indigo, deep dark blue. And we can even do like a third eye opening meditation if we want. Right, like
yes,
super quick and effective, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, like I love those stories where it's just like, and then I get to look at my family, and they're like, oh, how's business going? And they kind of
like a weird way. Do you ever notice that?
Really uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to ask, because if you're failing, I don't want to like draw attention to that. And then it's like, I work less, I make more.
Right.
I have control and freedom in my schedule. I can volunteer at my kids' school. I can pick up my son from school. I can do all of these things that I felt so bound by my job to not be able to do this. So yeah, so like I have just as many stories where I didn't, and it didn't go well. But.
Right. So being able to even look at that. So, and I have very similar experiences of like when I did take the leap, and each leap I did take. And of course, like the last one that most people were like, what the fuck are you doing? Was into, entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. But I mean, even my husband, I just remember him freaking out too, where I remember telling him, 6 months prior, I said, okay, when I get to this amount in savings, and when I'm going to put in my resignation. And I just told him one time. I felt like I did not need to tell him again. I was like, that's what I'm doing, just so you know. So when I came up to him 6 months later and I said, okay, I'm putting in my resignation this week, he's like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, I'm like, I have that. And he was like, do you have the clientele? Like, is it going to be sustainable? So on one hand, it's just like, I totally get the purpose of having a business plan, because that is the logical part where we do. I mean, that's more the masculine energy of just like having this awareness and like this plan for where I do want to go. And the power of tapping into more of the feminine side of our intuition, of receiving, of knowing, of trusting, and just having this like deeper calling and knowing that like whatever, everything is going to be more than okay, actually. And
can you walk through a little bit of your process? Because I know like, and I talk about it too, of like, it's not like a simple like, hey, I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this on the third Monday of the month, and like, we're still human, right? Yes. Like, tell me, because I can remember you telling your coach the number, and then he was kind of like, all right, feet to the, like,
exactly. What are you gonna do? So when are you putting in your resignation?
What's the process like for you?
Are you talking like as far as just leading
emotionally?
Oh my gosh, it's scary, right? Because you have all the doubts in your mind, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I'm doing this. And And so it's this like ping pong. And that's why I think that having, like you were saying, it's like my people, like my tribe, my community, they get it. They got me. And I think about not having that and not having my coach or the women that totally got me, or we're doing the same thing and doing it scared and still moving forward. I don't think, I mean, like I can't, past cast, like, future casting, past cast, like, but I just truly don't think that I would be where I'm at right now. Because I've tried this before. I tried it on my own so many times before. We tried it together. Like, so I can look at, and even after us, like I started, brainstorming again and wanting to do something and and like having this and looking up all sorts of stuff. But anyway, so not having my community to hold me accountable and say, okay, let's do the next scary thing. Right. And there were so many things that I did do that didn't make a fucking lick of sense. Like so much. Like I think about it, that did, right? Because I had a goal, but then I really had to trust. And what was really cool is like, and this is part of our intuition, this is part of manifesting. There was this university that I drove by all the time in my tiny little, in my tiny little town. And I'm like, it is so beautiful. I would love to work there. Like, I've never worked at a university. I'm just like, I wonder what it would be like. I wonder, how cool would that be? I'm like, I wonder what. Anyways, like the week that I was turning in my resignation, I saw something pop up on one of the listservs saying, hey, we have this part-time, offer at this college or the university that's 5 minutes away from me that I just absolutely fell in love with. And it was all about, like creating a mindfulness and stress reduction for the faculty and for the, and for the students and stuff. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, so I was just like, here it goes. And when the woman reached out, she's like, I mean, this is all we can pay. And I mean, it wasn't what I was getting paid at the time, and it was part-time. And I was like, absolutely, let's do this. Like, I knew, like, that's when you just know, like, it's all in alignment. Right. So it was like exactly when I needed it, exactly what I needed it for. I learned so much. It was so cool. And then I always think about this too, because when you were able to step into that space when I was leaving, I'm like, right, when we are able to close that door to what is no longer serving us and step into this bigger, vista, this bigger purpose in your life, right? It allows the space for that next person to come in exactly at the right time, exactly when it's supposed to help them, go on to their next step too. Right. We think about it. And why I say that is because I have so many, like, work with so many women who are in upper management, who are executives. And they're like, well, I can't leave my team like this, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. That is not trusting your intuition. That is actually the opposite of trusting your intuition. That is fear-based. That is completely condition-based. And to remind them, like, well, who are you holding up that's supposed to be, not to shame or anything, but truly it's like when we don't live in our purpose, we're keeping other people small. We're keeping ourselves small, and that ripples out. So, so I just thought that was really cool to bring in. And yeah.
And I'll just give a little bit of background for those who don't know I won't tell the whole story, but Leanne was executive director at a outpatient facility for substance use, and incredible company. And I was dying, like drowning in my CEO position. Hated every day, like just hated all of it. And Leanne called me and she was like, "Hi, I'm looking to transition. Are you interested? Because I'll give your name to my boss." And I was like, oh my God, I felt like I could breathe again. And like, granted, it wasn't meant to be like my forever, but it was 1000% what saved me from being in a position that I wanted to just like never get out of bed, right? Like it gave me a transition. And so like, and I always say this, Leanne, like if you had not, and this is on lots of levels, but if you had not done the work that you had done to get to where you were at that moment, the trajectory of both of our lives would be potentially very different. But also, because I talked to women during the Sedona retreat. We were sitting on top of one of the mountains, and one of them made the comment, like, just so grateful, like, Leanne created this. And I said, you know what, like, you guys, she did her part, and now it's our turn to do our part, because it trickles down. And it was just really beautiful, right? And it's, we're so small.
I know.
In the grand scheme, and at the same time, what we each do matters.
So big. We're so small, and so they have such a far reach, right? And that's the power of, I know, I just like goosebumps through that whole thing of just like, it's so beautiful when we do, when you can tell, I can tell, I don't know if you can too, when somebody is truly aligned with their mission, with their purpose, like when they are just totally there. And it doesn't mean that every single day is fucking easy or like whatever. Like, life is still life. Shit happens. We still have our conditioned self that'll pop up and stuff like that. But the more we listen to that voice within, our intuition of like, hey, we're actually supposed to be over here. Hey, it's time to let this go. And I know that you're really scared about this. It's time to let go of control. It's time to let go of your fear. It's time to, like, it's just time. And to allow ourselves, our fucking ego that is important, because we have to recognize that we are individuals and unique, and we don't really, I don't want to say we don't matter. Like, we're individuals and we're part of something bigger. You know what I mean? Like,
it's both and. Like, the dichotomy there, like, is so like mind blowing. Of like, it's both and.
Yes.
Your decisions directly impacted my life.
Yeah.
My decisions directly impact other people's lives.
Right.
And when I stand in front of the ocean, or when I look out into the Grand Canyon, I feel incredibly small. And it's both.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Both things are true.
And how do we get back in touch with our intuition, right? And that's what a lot of people are searching for. So we lose touch because we are told that it's illogical, that it doesn't make sense, that you can't trust your gut, like, you know, and everything, even in research, like I think about Malcolm Gladwell, he talks about like how that's ridiculous. Like, we're actually supposed to trust our gut. And not be influenced by others people, right? And how whatever their reaction is. But anyways, just that doubt, the doubt of, I just remember like little by little, sort of like piece by piece, it being shaved off of like, when I would speak up, when I would speak my truth, and I was told that was wrong, or that was stupid, or I didn't know what I was talking about, or anything like that. So, right. So that's what starts creating that doubt of like doubting our intuition. Also, when you know something's wrong, and this is big for people that grow up as an ACOA or, you know, like adult child alcoholic, is that we know that something is wrong. We know that something is not, it's just off. And then we're told our whole lives that like, no, everything's fine. This is just in your mind. Like, everything is fine, or keep it under wraps or whatever. That creates a lot of doubt. And for all of those people out there too, who maybe grew up, and I'm meeting more and more people, that have this experience, which is really interesting to me, that grow up with their dad, but they're not really their dad. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is interesting because that's my story, right? And I always knew that there was something different. I always knew it. I don't know why. I never understood why. I never understood, like, I felt like an outsider because my mom raised me as PJs, right? And he is my dad. So for all intents and purposes, he raised me since I was 2, and I didn't know any different, right? But there was always this knowing. And then when I was 13 and found out by chance, I was like, oh my fucking God.
It all came together, right?
It all came together. It all made sense. It all pissed me off too, right? Like, I was just like, that's when I started raging. I was like, what the fuck? You know? But still, right? But that's how our intuition is like, you know, just like, you're wrong, and we start doubting it. So what is that path back to ourselves and trusting ourselves. And whenever I think about this, and I'm going to ask you what your path was, but I always think about Shauna, 40-year-old,
40-year-old awakening.
40-year awakening. So I'm like, oh my gosh, why did it just slip my mind? Where she started listening to small nudges. And I remember one of the first ones was when she was just driving, and so, you know, she was like, something told me that I should just turn. It wasn't, you know, part of my journey or whatever. She turned and she just kept on going up this mountain. And that's when she realized that it was where she was walking her dog a year prior, who she had just lost. And her dog was like her everything, her baby. Went through so much with her. And she was able to embrace that, to have that moment and to have that memory. And she was just so I don't even know how to say this, but like overwhelmed. That's what I was looking for. Like overwhelmed with joy and just gratitude. And so that's what I mean. Like little tiny things like that are, it's not like you're jumping off the cliff. It's just like, oh, maybe turn here. Oh, maybe take the longer way home. I wonder, you know, like stuff like that. So yeah. What about you?
So it's funny, like we talk about kind of the 40-year awakening, and my awakening literally like started from a Reiki session in Sedona several years ago. But one of the things that I learned was that with your third eye, which is in the center of your forehead, I started to like just do this little motion where like it's like I was lifting the eyelid. It's like if there's literally a third eye in the middle of my forehead, and I'm just pulling up from one point in my forehead up an inch. I'm just pulling upward, like I'm just running my finger along my forehead upward. It was a little bit like a massage, kind of like, that feels good. But also like I started to make the intention of, I'm opening the eye, let me see. And so I started like saying little phrases of like, let me see what others can't see. Show me things that I may not have been able to see before. And so I started almost like in a prayer form, right? Like just like these kind of internal statements of like, okay, like I'm gonna pay attention and see if anything comes. And then I get quiet. And I get quiet because that's necessary. Sorry to break it to all of you who are like, I don't like meditation. No,
I know.
That's not true. You can do it. It just takes practice. And I started to like feel, and I got the comparison, or somebody gave me the analogy of your third eye is a lot like a friend who calls you. And if you never pick up the phone, your friend's going to stop calling. If you never return a phone call, people just stop reaching out. Your intuition is similar. It will be as in tune as you put into it, like the energy that you put into it. And so if you're consistently ignoring it and saying like, oh, that's not real, or oh, I can't do that, or no, that's not what we're going to do, then it's going to take the message of like, all right, we'll just sit in the back. But when we call them, our spirit guides, goddess, God divine, when we call our inner knowing forward, and again, get quiet, you'll be surprised. I mean, I tell some clients, like, I dare you to try that, like, I don't do like the exercise of like the closing your eyes, envisioning the indigo light in the center of your forehead. You're lifting the eye is open, it's looking around, you are able to connect with what you see. And I have them go through kind of like that meditation and that exercise. I dare them. I double dare you to do this consistently. And here's the trick, like you've got to do it consistently. And come back and tell me that it didn't work. And I get to have a client come back and say, you were wrong. The client either comes back and says, I did it for like 2 days and then I totally forgot about it. I'm going to try again. or they'll say like, holy cow, I had no idea that I had this inner knowing.
Yeah.
There was a whole time. We just put it on the shelf and told it to be quiet. Like a little kid, like just sit in the corner.
Yeah.
And when we invite it to the table and we say, no, like you're welcome here, you can be a part of, then it starts to really activate.
Yes.
So yeah, I think there's lots of ways to, and happy to go through a little, I'm just like a 2-second, close your eyes, envision the ball of light. Like we can do that.
I'm like, what? I already did it. When you were saying that, I was already closing my eyes. There was something that the last Reiki practitioner that I had an opportunity with, she actually kept going to my third eye, and she just kept on like tapping on it, just like this little tappity tap tap. Like it's like, what is going on there? It must be closed off. What's happening? But she was just like, when she checked my chakra, she's like, you're wide open. I'm like, I thought so.
It just feels good to like massage that part of your.
It felt so damn good.
It's I'm gonna. This might weird some people out. I don't know. It's like an external massage because it is. It's an
if we haven't weirded people out by now, and like they're still with us, I think we're good. Go.
If you're a new listener and this weirds you out, keep coming back because it gets better. Like it's like an internal massage also, and it's like almost I don't even know how to describe it, but like I can feel it on my skin. I can almost also feel it like inside my brain, like inside. Like it's so, but that's also because I have practiced getting in tune with that. If somebody were walking down the street and you said to them and they had no experience with this whatsoever, and you're like, massage your third eye and tell me what you feel. They're gonna be like,
I'll probably throat punch you.
Right? Like I feel the pressure of my finger on my forehead. I don't know. But it can be so much more than that.
Yes, it is so much more than that. As long as you're open to it, right, and you recognize it, it doesn't scare you. And actually, and some people, I think it is. And I know that I have met so many women who say like they have like a lot of gifts, like gifts to connect, and just like so much where they have been scared. Yes, it can be very overwhelming. And again, just until you utilize it and you understand it more, and your ability to navigate through that, right? Where it's just like, I think it's overwhelming when we first just allow ourselves back into that, because a lot of people don't know what's happening. When they're younger, I'm just like, why do I have these visions? People are going to think I'm crazy. Like, cause that's what it is too. It's like visions, downloads, like these things that don't make sense. They just come to you. It's a deeper wisdom. And I will say, I have to practice it. I know people that just naturally have this gift, and it's like so strong, and it's just about reconnecting and trusting themselves to know how to navigate these waters. So we would love to hear your stories of maybe when you did follow your intuition, when you didn't follow your intuition, or maybe you're just like, I don't know how do I even tap into my intuition? And maybe we can go into even more like different journal prompts or different exercises, rituals that you want to practice so that you can get back in tune with it, because it's a superpower that we have. And I would say, and I do think we all have it, and I think men have it too. I do believe that women are more inherently just like connected to it. I don't have the statistics on that. I don't know if that's a fact, but that is just, again, it could be because of the massive conditioning that we've both been through as males and females. So, but yeah, we would love to hear your stories, when it did work out, when it didn't work out, and just any kind of questions that you have for either of us to help you reconnect with that, because it truly is a superpower that we have that isn't utilized enough. So
yeah, and I'll just real quickly, my throat is the pollen. It is the pollen. I'll just again real briefly go through, like, when you are trying to activate it, I encourage you to close your eyes, either sit crisscross applesauce.
Let's do this right now. Let's do it. I encourage you, listeners, if you can, at this moment, do this. I encourage you to just practice it. Just get into this. And maybe you can just save the last couple minutes of this and just do it over and over. Go ahead.
So yeah,
if you're driving, don't do it. If you're walking, don't do it. Don't close your eyes. Sorry, go ahead.
With your eyes closed or cast downward, you're just trying to eliminate distraction, but your feet on the floor or sitting crisscross applesauce, we're just going to get connected with your breath. You're just going to start to envision a ball of indigo light in the center of your forehead. And right in front of that light is an eye. Begin to picture the eyelid of that eye opening. What color is that eye? What does it see? What does it feel? And with every breath in, the ball of indigo light just gets bigger and brighter, opening you up, activating your third eye chakra, giving you an inner knowing, an inner peace as you connect with that which others may not be able to see, feel, touch, understand. But you, with your third eye open, are connecting. Another breath in, another breath out. And then you can open your eyes when you're ready.
Thank you, Katie.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want more of that, be sure to check her out. Check out her website. Check her out on Instagram. Get a hold of her. She can guide you through energy practices and to that journey back to yourself. So and into spirit. So be sure to connect with her. And we hope that you enjoyed today's discussion and little short guided meditation back to yourself and trusting your intuition. So as always, we are so honored to be here with you, and we are always sending love and light. So be sure to stay curious, stay compassionate, and always let your legacy shine. Mwah.